If you haven't been living under a rock recently, you've probably noticed dozens of YouTube videos on a product that just hit the market just before NAMM, and it is the ToneX FRFR cabinet. This is obviously not one of these videos. I want to talk about the ToneX in general, and I want to be very transparent about it. I want to address some of the misconceptions about this product and the tone models that come with it, and I want to give you some insight that is going to help you get the most out of your ToneX. In this video, we're going to be discussing 5 topics that are crucial to understand before buying any of these products. But before I dive into that, I'd like to thank all the people who have been following this channel so far. I wanted to stay true to my promise that I made in some of my previous videos, and I have been working on a platform where I can share all the stuff that I'm working on with you. So my new website is up. Go check it out, please. It's the slightlytechnicalacademy.com. There is a section called Tech Pages, and on the Tech Pages, you will find the documentation on some of the mods that I have been working on and that I documented on this website. And there is a lot of very interesting stuff coming up. I also have a section with very interesting ToneX profiles of like unique, modded, rare, like vintage gear and stuff that I made. And I'm working every day on this, so new packs are coming up. So if you're interested, you can check that out, but I will say a little bit more about that later. So coming back to the things that I wanted to discuss here, the first thing that I think it's important to understand is that the application that comes with ToneX, so the ToneX app, actually works without the pedal. I think that's very important to understand. With the IK Multimedia ToneX app, you can use it as a plugin in your DAW, you can use the standalone app, and you don't need to have the pedal with you. I think that's absolutely great. Now, let me get my guitar, and I want to show you something that's sort of characteristic about this plugin. All right, so I quickly want to show you a very cool trick. So like with other VST plugins, you can load up multiple instances of the ToneX application. Now, the ToneX app works in such a way that it sort of simulates one tone model at a time. So what I've chosen to do here is use one instance of the ToneX app to load up my amplifier, which is my Super Lead from my Marshall Super Lead pack. And it basically sounds like this. All right, so what I wanted to do now is I wanted to use another instance of the ToneX plugin and use it with one of my pedal tone models. Now, to exaggerate this, I'm going to be using a model of a fuzz pedal. And if I engage it, basically sounds like this. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is that normally how you would use the fuzz pedal is by cranking the volume. But the trick here is actually to pay close attention at your input and output levels, all right? Because they tend to clip. So what a lot of people would go for is pretty much the thing that you would do if you had an amplifier in the pedal. You would just crank the volume. But if you take a closer look at the output, it's clipping. So I don't want to do that. I'm going to bring the volume a little bit down. And what I'm going to do now is actually go to the other ToneX plugin, and I will not raise the input, because if I do that, it's going to clip. What I'm going to do, I'm going to increase the gain on the tone model. Okay, so that would sort of be the correct way of using multiple ToneX plugins, by paying attention to the input and output levels and using, in this case, the gain of the amplifier to increase the input level, and therefore sort of like hitting the amp hard with volume from your pedal, if it makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about what the tone models are actually. I see that there's a lot of misconception about this, and some people don't really understand what the tone models actually are. So the tone models are not models of your amplifier. They are sort of like snapshots of your amplifier at certain settings. That practically means that whatever tweaks you do within the ToneX application, it will probably not respond like the way your amplifier would respond to the same tweaks. And it is very important, if you're willing to buy any kind of ToneX pack of a certain amplifier or a pedal, that the pack is actually packed with a lot of different snapshots at different settings. I would say that the correct way to use this is just find the setting at like all controls pretty much like flat, the setting that is sort of like the closest to what you want to hear, and then do some micro tweaks. That way you're gonna get the sound that is as close as possible to the actual pedal that was modeled. Now we are moving to the third topic that I wanted to talk about, and it is how accurate are these tone models actually, and we need to be really honest about it here. It is my opinion that the tone models in some cases are pretty accurate. They really sound good. Like you really get good sounds. And are they like close to the amps? No, they're not only close, they're like very, very close at certain settings. There are certain situations when it is very hard to sample certain sounds, and let's just say that some sounds work better than others. But it is really close. It sounds really close, but does it feel like an amplifier? No, it doesn't feel like an amplifier. The ToneX pedal doesn't feel like an amplifier. If you use the plugin, it doesn't feel like the amplifier. Obviously, nothing feels like an amplifier. I'm completely honest with you here. I love amplifiers, like I'm totally an amplifier guy, but I also love digital stuff. And if we are being realistic without arguing about this, like these two things are not to be compared. I love amps, I love how they feel, but I also like the digital stuff. And to be honest, after a few minutes by playing the digital stuff, I'm just completely fine with it and I can make music with it. And if I was doing a gig and I didn't want to carry my amplifier, I would definitely take the ToneX pedal and I would be absolutely fine. Now, the way how you make tone models is through practically a form of reamping, and you need certain equipment to reamp your amplifier or the pedal. For example, I use this radial reamp device. There is also the one that is sold by IK Multimedia, and I'd say that pretty much these two things are the same. Now again, if we're going to be very honest about it, the amplifier responds differently when your guitar is directly plugged into it and when you're sending the signal from your reamp pedal. And that is also natural. That's the way how these things work. There is an additional piece of electronics that I sort of like quickly designed that I use for reamping that really helps a lot, like brings the sound like a little bit closer to the way it would be when you're using like the guitar plugged directly into the amplifier. But the whole point is different people use different gear. They have like their way of doing it. And so how accurate is it? It is very accurate. It is realistically very accurate, but it's not an amplifier. Okay, so the fourth topic I want to talk about here is the actual FRFR cab that was released not so long ago. I honestly never tried, never heard this product, but I watched a bunch of YouTube videos on it, and I was sort of searching for the reaction of the YouTubers to it, and it seems that it's a really, really good product. I want to talk about the concept of this FRFR cabinet because, to be perfectly honest, I would never buy it. I would never be in a need for such a product because when I'm working with the ToneX application or the plugins or setting up the ToneX pedal, I'm using my studio monitors as reference because I think it is a much more honest reference than setting up anything on that cabinet. But I understand not everybody has studio monitors at home, and for them, the FRFR cab seems to be an absolutely great solution. Even in that case, I would just get the good amplifier and I would play it at home. So here is the problem that the FRFR cabinet might be a solution for. In a lot of cases, guitar players don't carry amplifiers anymore. They would just take any kind of modeler or processor. They would go to the gig. It sounds great. It's convenient. It's easy to use. They can set up different sounds. It's not heavy. It doesn't break. absolutely amazing. But the problem is that in most cases, they're playing with a drummer that is playing live drums. They're playing a real drum set, and the guitar player is next to them with no source of sound coming from the stage, and they're relying on the PA system of the bar to make the guitar loud, right? When guitar players come without a guitar amp to a stage next to a drummer that's playing live drums, sometimes it is a problem to localize the sound. Yes, your guitar is going through the PA system, but the PA system is weird. The speakers are placed in weird positions, and what happens is that if I'm a customer and I'm standing and watching the gig, I can easily localize the drummer and the drum set, because what I'm hearing is the actual sound of the drum set coming off the stage, and I may be hearing something that's mic'd up. But the guitar is coming all the way around me, and I'm watching the guitar player over there, and I simply cannot localize the sound coming from his position, and it's something that I would expect to hear. Now, obviously, if you're playing on bigger stages, you would not have this problem, but most of us are not playing bigger stages, and we have to understand that. Now, here comes the FRFR cab. With the FRFR cab, what you can do is not only use it as a monitor on your stage, but you can also use it just to be a sound source on your stage that's sort of going to compete with all the other instruments that are acoustic on the stage. And that really, really helps. And as an end result, your band will sound much better with it than without it. Okay, so I hope that you found the information in this video at least a little bit useful. Now, a recap on the ToneX. My honest opinion, I actually like it. I think it sounds great. I think it's very, very useful. And yeah, does it sound like a tube amp? It sounds damn close. The tone models, some of the tone models are really good. Does it feel like a tube amp? No, it doesn't feel like a tube amp. The FRFR cab, as I explained, might be a useful thing, but in general, I think the application is great. There are a lot of great tone models on the internet. And here we're coming to the shameless plug where I'm gonna lead you to my website, theslightlytechnicalacademy.com. If you're interested, you're gonna find a lot of great tone models over there. A lot of pedals, a lot of amplifiers are coming up, and I'm posting now daily, and I'm running this promotion now at the moment, and it's gonna be up until maybe the middle of February. And it's like you can get all of the packs from the website for 15 bucks. And that's only happening now. So I think it's a very, very good offer. And you might want to go and just register and check them out. Even if you don't want to play, there are some free packs that you can get just by registering. Please support me by liking, sharing, and subscribing if you like the video. If you didn't like the video, download the shit out of it. Let me know if you're using the ToneX, which tone models you're using, and how satisfied are you with this. So guys, thank you once again. I'll be seeing you very, very soon in the next video. Bye.